could have been seen.
We don't know.
Okay, that settles it. I guess we're done with the video.
Oh, don't mind me. I was just watching a video I uploaded over 2 years ago regarding Quarter Quells. I hope you can all agree that my videos have improved since that one. Since that video came out, a certain novel called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was released. Basically, it takes place during the 10th annual Hunger Games, and if you haven't read that novel but you plan to, I am issuing a spoiler alert for the novel. That novel came out and I read it while I was working on my video on what if District 13 was actually destroyed. While I concluded that the novel didn't impact the contents of that video, this Quarter Quell video was not so lucky.
We have centuries of Quarter Quells available, so at least one of our guesses has to be right.
Well, maybe that might still work, at least for content if not for style. I mean, were you using a Windows 95 computer for video editing?
No, but I was using a Windows Phone for voice recording.
Well, hearing your voice in that video, no wonder Windows phones didn't get a lot of traction.
Could he focus? Anyway, here are some of the alternative Quarter Quells I came up with in that video.
So I suspect that one Quarter Quell could cite the fact that men are the ones who usually fight in wars, in order to reap only boys.
Oh, come on. Hasn't anyone seen me in action?
Only I've seen you in action, and that's in my head. I don't yet have the resources to depict you fighting in high quality yet. They have seen your mother in action for a time.
While a human such as yourself would struggle to pull off these feats, none of them really scream goddess of war to me. Sorry, Mom. Maybe Love and Thunder will change that.
Regardless, I don't see the prequel novel affecting this Quarter Quell that much.
Quarter Quell could lower the maximum age of tributes in that year's Hunger Games.
You don't want to lower it too much. For cruelty purposes, I could see that Capital doing that, but then practical considerations might get in the way.
Well, I don't see the prequel novel affecting this suggestion much either.
As a reminder that capital forces were unjustly ambushed without the knowledge of their allies, the tributes will not be given a cannon upon their fall in the Hunger Games.
Did any cannons go off during the 10th Hunger Games? Snow had no idea if his tribute, Lucy Gray, was still alive during various points in the games.
That was probably added during a later edition of the games.
So this option is on the chopping block.
As a reminder that the capital was deprived of supplies during the Dark Days, a cornucopia will not be provided in the arena.
I mean, there was a pile of weapons available during the 10th Hunger Games, and I have no reason to believe they wouldn't be there at the first, so that one is still viable.
As a reminder that routing the rebels often required capital forces to scout the land without support, the tributes will have to fight their games without the support of sponsors.
Thing is, Snow came up with the idea of sponsors during a proposal he wrote for Dr. Gall. The proposal that got his friend Clemencia bitten by snakes. That was introduced in the 10th Hunger Games.
As a reminder that many were pressed into service before their training was complete, the tributes will be assessed shortly after arrival without the training needed to compete in the games.
Given that Lucy Gray and her fellow tributes were starved to death, bombed, and mostly trained for interviews, it seems that the no-training Quarter Quell is now bullshit.
As a reminder, the combatants did not have the luxury of knowing the abilities of their opponents. The tributes will not be assessed on their score by a panel of judges.
Well, if there is no training, how can there be a score?
There's a way we can still win. We've been assuming that all the Quarter Quells were planned out from the start. However, that might not be the case. Looking at our own US Constitution, it was more of a framework, one that allowed itself to be amended. One thing that the prequel novel made clear was that the games themselves were consistently being amended during their early years. While I reckon that the Quarter Quell itself was a planned part of the Hunger Games, exactly what these Quarter Quells would be could have been decided later. The first two Quarter Quells were likely planned from the start, but subsequent ones would not be decided until the nature of the games, mentorship, training, cornucopias, and cannons, started to become established and less experimental. Catching Fire suggests that there were Quarter Quells planned for centuries to come. I find it hard to believe that they would have all been planned out from the start before the nature of the games themselves were clear. And should the capital and the games last a given number of centuries, and the last planned Quarter Quell occur, what would they do then? Come up with a new Quarter Quell idea? End the Quarter Quell? End the games?
Start over? What? I don't see the capital ever stopping the games.
Before I conclude, here are a few updates regarding my channel. Development of the Clone Wars Infinity War Mashup Part 2 is underway. I expect to be done with drafts of all the pre-battle scene animations by the time this video goes live. Part 1 is available and I strongly encourage you to go check it out, as well as some of my other videos. I also hope that I have earned your subscription and that bell icon. So what do you all think? Does the prequel novel undermine the Quarter Quell suggestions I came up with in that other video? Or can they still stand? Would the capital try to come up with Quarter Quells after a couple centuries? What would the games look like centuries later, assuming they were allowed to continue? And would the capital eventually decide that the games are no longer worth having? By order of President Snow, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below and subscribe for more videos on the way.